Another example, which is probably even more interesting to many of us, we have known for years, we make a big deal about the witnesses to the Book of Mormon. It's the very first thing you encounter in our current Books of Mormon. You open it up and there's the testimony of the witnesses. In the early Book of Mormon, it was in the back. Well, they had prepared a testimony of the revelations to go in the back. We didn't know about it because the printing of the first Book of Commandments was interrupted by mob action destroying the print shop. However, now we know because we have the testimony of the witnesses. And these witnesses wrote up a statement and signed it saying, "We know this is of God and it will be for your good and edification, and we commend it to you." And that would have been the last page in the Book of Commandments had they finished their plan. We now have that text and can restore that text in this publication and for future use to know that they had planned a testimony as they did with the plates in the Book of Mormon. Interestingly, because this base text was a copy of the Church Historian from this compilation they made in Ohio, they copied in the statement. So they had circulated the statement, a number of men signed it, but he copied it into the book, all in his own hand. Then they took it down to Missouri, where other people said, "We want to sign that." And they signed it in their own hand in the book. So some of it is the scribe's copy of the original document, other signatures are the signatures of the men in Missouri who wanted to add their testimony. One of them added, in parentheses, "never to be erased." He wanted this to stand for posterity. But it was lost to posterity until now. This Revelation book was on early inventories, and from the inventories, which are somewhat vague in titles, we assumed that there must be a second Revelation book. But we didn't have access to it, didn't know where it was. In an effort to make sure that we could publish all the Joseph Smith documents, the First Presidency went through their materials and discovered that this book had landed over there. And they presented it to us 4 years ago and said, "Here is a Revelation book. Would it fit in what you're planning to do?" And indeed, it fits perfectly with the book we already had and makes it possible to present now the full manuscript background to the published scriptures that we never had before. Interestingly, there are 4 pages of this book we've known about for a long time. These pages are in Independence, and they had belonged to John Whitmer, who wrote the whole book originally. And somehow these 4 leaves, 8 pages, got separated and went through the family till it came to the Community of Christ Library Archives. They knew they had it, we knew they had it, we've used them, but had no idea where it came from. Now they can get reassembled and are reassembled in this publication with the rest of the book that John Whitmer kept.